The moment you feel like giving up is the moment you're closer than ever to a breakthrough. That point, the breaking point, is where most people stop, turn around, and walk away. They give in to the pressure, the exhaustion, the doubt, and the pain. But what they don't realize is that this very moment is the threshold. It's the gate between average and extraordinary, between almost and achieve, between dreaming and doing. Not a coincidence that your desire to quit grows strongest just before something shifts. The pressure intensifies, the resistance multiplies, and suddenly everything in you starts to scream for relief. That scream isn't a signal to stop. It's a signal that you're stretching beyond your comfort zone, beyond your past limitations, into territory you've never walked before. The human spirit is built with a limit only the mind believes in. When your body feels done, when your energy feels drained, when your motivation is gone, your mind starts to whisper that quitting is easier. And it is. Quitting is always easier. But quitting never leads to change. Quitting never opens new doors. The ones who achieve greatness aren't the ones who never felt like quitting. They're the ones who refused to let that feeling decide their fate. They kept pushing when everything told them not to. They embraced the discomfort, not because it felt good, but because they knew it was part of the process. Pain, struggle, fatigue. These aren't signs of weakness. They're signs of growth. They mean you're working at the edge of your current capability. And the edge is where transformation happens. When a muscle grows, it tears first. When steel is forged, it's burned first. When greatness is born, it's through resistance and pressure. The breaking point isn't an end. It's a test. It asks you, how bad do you really want this? And in that moment, your answer writes your story. If you give in, the chapter ends there. But if you choose to keep going, you become more than you were yesterday. You build endurance. You build character. You build a kind of mental toughness that no shortcut, no easy path, no hack can ever give you. Most people won't understand your struggle. They'll tell you to rest, to take it easy, to be realistic. But growth doesn't live in easy. It doesn't thrive in comfort. Every major turning point in life is disguised as a moment of complete exhaustion, a wall too high, a burden too heavy. But the wall is not there to block you, it's there to show you how much you're willing to climb. That pressure you feel is not punishment, it's preparation. It's there to shape you, mold you, and call out a version of you that you've never met before. The you that finishes what you start. The you that doesn't bow to fear or fatigue. The you that fights past the urge to quit, even when no one's watching. Every step you've taken, every sacrifice you've made, every late night, early morning setback and small victory has brought you to this point. You didn't come this far just to quit. Quitting now would be like climbing a mountain and turning back with the summit in sight. The climb may be steep, your muscles may ache, and your mind may waver, but the journey behind you is proof that you're capable of pushing forward. There was a time when even starting seemed impossible. You doubted yourself, you feared failure, and maybe others doubted you too. But you started anyway. You moved forward when the path wasn't clear. You kept showing up when results didn't come. That effort, that consistency, that struggle, they all matter. When you feel like giving up, remind yourself that progress isn't always visible. Growth doesn't always announce itself with loud victories. Often it's hidden in the quiet choices you make each day, choosing discipline over comfort, choosing faith over fear, choosing action over excuses. Those small decisions, repeated over time, have built something powerful inside you. And it's not just momentum, it's identity. You're no longer who you were when you started. You've changed. You've endured too much and learned too many lessons to let them go to waste now. There's a cost to every journey, and you've already paid so much of it. Time, energy, emotions, and effort have all been invested. If you quit now, you're not just giving up on a goal. You're giving up on everything you've built to get here. The challenges you've overcome weren't meaningless. They were laying the foundation for something greater. Every hardship prepared you for this very moment. Every delay taught you patience. Every rejection taught you resilience. Every failure taught you how to rise again. There will always be voices, both external and internal, telling you to let go. They'll say it's not worth it, that it's too hard, that you're not cut out for it. But they don't know what you've endured. They don't know how many times you've stood back up after falling. They don't see the fire that still flickers inside you, even on your darkest days. You may be tired, but you are not finished. You may be discouraged, but you are not broken. The truth is, you're closer than you think. Success doesn't always announce itself ahead of time. Sometimes the breakthrough is silent until it arrives, but it only comes to those who stay in the fight long enough to receive it. You've already done the hard part, starting. You've already done the lonely part, continuing when no one else believed. You've already done the painful part, growing through struggle. Don't dishonor that journey by walking away. The ground you've covered matters. The person you've become matters. The story you've been writing matters. Keep turning the pages, keep moving forward, and remind yourself that quitting now would erase more than just a dream. It would erase the courage it took to chase it in the first place. The dreams you carry within you were not placed there by chance. They are not meaningless flashes of imagination or fantasies meant to pass with time. They are seeds of potential, indicators of what your soul knows is possible. Those dreams exist because you are capable of making them real. They were placed in your heart because somewhere deep inside, you have what it takes to bring them to life. Not everyone dreams the way you do. Not everyone sees the vision you see or feels the pull you feel. That's not a mistake. It's a message. The dreams that won't let you sleep, the ideas that keep resurfacing, the goals that haunt your quiet moments, they are yours for a reason. So many people ignore their dreams because they seem too far away, too difficult, too risky. But the truth is, your dream isn't demanding perfection, it's asking for commitment. It's asking you to believe in something bigger than your current reality. It's asking you to take the first step even when the finish line is nowhere in sight. Every great achievement started as a dream in someone's mind. Every life-changing idea, every powerful mission, every transformation began with someone who believed first in the dream, then in themselves. The fact that your dream exists is proof that it belongs to you. It doesn't belong to someone more talented, more connected, or more confident. It belongs to the one who refuses to give up on it. The world may try to convince you otherwise. It may feed you doubt, tell you you're not ready, that you're too late, too inexperienced, too flawed. But dreams don't respond to fear. They respond to action. They grow when you water them with effort. They come alive when you nurture them with discipline, courage, and belief. There will be days when the dream feels distant, when results are slow, when people around you don't understand what you're chasing. On those days, remember why the dream found you in the first place. Remember the fire it lit in your heart. Remember how it made you feel alive, focused, and full of purpose. That feeling wasn't imaginary. It was a signal that this dream matters, a signal that it's worth every obstacle, every setback, every lonely step forward. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to know every move. You just need to trust that the dream is real and that your role is to keep showing up for it. Every step you take toward it brings it closer to becoming part of your reality. Even when no one else sees it, even when doubt creeps in, the dream remains yours. It doesn't vanish just because the path is unclear. It doesn't disappear just because progress is slow. It stays alive in the background, waiting for you to believe in it again, waiting for you to act on it again, waiting for you to remember that the dream chose you because you are the one meant to fulfill it. Pain is an unavoidable part of the journey toward anything meaningful. It's the cost of growth, the toll for transformation, the weight that tests your strength and endurance. Fatigue will come, sometimes early, sometimes right when you think you're getting ahead. The path you've chosen will get heavy. Your legs will shake, your mind will grow weary, and the thought of quitting will whisper seductively in your ear. It will promise relief, ease, and an escape from the discomfort you're feeling. But what it doesn't tell you is that quitting costs far more than pushing through. The discomfort you feel now will pass, but the regret of giving up will remain long after the pain has faded. Pain is temporary. It rises, it peaks, and it fades. It may linger, but it never lasts forever. Fatigue might make your vision blur and your focus waver, but it doesn't define the outcome unless you let it. Every athlete, every creator, every leader, every success story has stood face to face with exhaustion and doubt, and the ones who made it through were not necessarily the strongest or the smartest. They were simply the ones who refused to quit. They endured the burn, they embraced the strain, and they kept moving forward even when everything inside them begged to stop. They understood that endurance isn't just a physical act, it's a mental war, and winning that war again and again builds the kind of resilience that no shortcut can provide. When you feel like quitting, remember that you are not broken, you are being built. The struggle is shaping something within you that comfort never could. The mental fortitude, the emotional toughness, the spiritual grounding, it all forms in the fire of hardship. Quitting might offer momentary relief, but it robs you of the reward. It cheats you out of the pride that only comes from enduring. It takes away the breakthrough that was waiting, just one more push beyond the pain. The greatest victories are often hiding behind the greatest pressure. The closer you are to something extraordinary, the more resistance you will feel. You might not see progress immediately. You might not hear applause. You might not feel motivated every day. That's not the point. The point is to keep going anyway. To keep showing up even when you're tired, frustrated, and doubting yourself, because every step you take forward in pain teaches you that you are capable of far more than you ever believed. Pain, when faced with courage, becomes a teacher. Fatigue, when fought with discipline, becomes a tool. They harden your edge, sharpen your focus, and deepen your purpose. The suffering you experience in pursuit of something meaningful refines you, not ruins you. You may fall, you may fail, you may want to scream, but don't surrender. Because everything you're going through now is temporary. The sacrifice, the effort, the setbacks, they will all pass. But quitting, choosing to walk away, leaves a wound that doesn't close easily. It haunts the moments that follow, not with physical pain, but with the unanswered question of what could have been. Taking massive, imperfect action is the most direct path between a dream and its realization. So many people stay stuck not because they lack talent, ideas, or resources, but because they're waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect version of themselves. That wait can stretch for months, years, or even a lifetime. The truth is that progress doesn't begin when you're ready. It begins the moment you start moving, even if your steps are messy and uncertain. Action builds clarity. People often think they need clarity before they act, but in reality, it's the other way around. You learn by doing. You refine your vision by testing, adjusting, and evolving. Every step you take, even if it's not perfect, gives you feedback. It shows you what works and what doesn't. It reveals your strengths and weaknesses. It opens doors you couldn't see when you were standing still. The first version of anything you build will be rough, but that's what makes it real. You can't edit a blank page, and you can't improve something that doesn't exist. Massive action doesn't mean working non-stop without direction. It means choosing bold, meaningful steps that push you beyond your comfort zone. It means making the call you've been avoiding, sharing the idea you've been sitting on, launching the project even if it's not flawless. It's about doing things that make you feel exposed and vulnerable, because that's where real growth lives. Safe actions feel productive, but rarely lead to transformation. Real breakthroughs come from taking risks, facing resistance, and pushing through fear. Imperfect action is powerful because it disrupts the habit of overthinking. Overthinking is the enemy of progress. It disguises itself as preparation, but it's often just fear in a clever costume. When you take action, even messy, unpolished action, you break the cycle of doubt. You give yourself momentum, and momentum is everything. Once you're in motion, it's easier to keep going. Energy attracts energy, and suddenly one small step leads to another, then another, until you've built something substantial. There's also a deep psychological shift that happens when you start acting on your dreams. You begin to prove to yourself that you are the kind of person who follows through. Every action is a vote for the identity you're trying to step into. If you want to become a creator, start creating. If you want to become a leader, start leading. Don't wait for someone to hand you a title. Act like the person you're becoming, and the world will begin to respond accordingly. In a 90-day window, you don't have time to hesitate. You need urgency. You need to flood the process with effort. You don't have to get it all right. You just have to move. Because while others are waiting, planning, and perfecting, you're out there building. And in that process, you're learning, growing, and becoming more capable with each step. Perfection is one of the most seductive lies we tell ourselves. It whispers that we can't begin until everything is just right, that our idea must be flawless, our timing impeccable, our skills fully developed. It disguises itself as high standards, but in truth, perfection is often a mask for fear. It paralyzes action and delays progress under the illusion of preparation. While you're fine-tuning your plan for the 100th time, someone else with half your talent but double your courage is already out there gaining ground. The pursuit of perfection is not only exhausting, it's counterproductive. There is no such thing as a perfect first attempt. Every master was once a beginner. Every masterpiece had a messy draft. Trying to get everything right before you start is like trying to learn to swim without getting wet. You only improve by doing. Real growth happens in the chaos, the failures, the recalibrations. Waiting for perfection before you move is like waiting for all the traffic lights to turn green before you leave the house. You'll never get anywhere. Progress doesn't come from perfect planning. It comes from consistent motion. When you act, you create momentum. That momentum teaches you what you couldn't learn from the sidelines. You discover where you need to grow. You get feedback from the real world instead of theorizing in your head. And the beauty is, each imperfect step makes the next one a little easier, a little more informed, a little more effective. But it all starts with moving before you feel ready. Many people use perfection as a safety net to avoid judgment. They don't want to be seen struggling, failing, or releasing something that's not fully polished. But imperfection is human. It's relatable. It's authentic. People don't connect with flawless. They connect with real. They connect with those who are willing to take risks, to be vulnerable, to learn in public. You earn respect not by being perfect, but by being brave enough to show up and improve in front of others. There is also a hidden cost to perfectionism. It steals your time. While you're stuck polishing every detail, you're not building, creating, or sharing. The world doesn't benefit from your ideas if they stay trapped in your head. Execution will always beat potential. The person who launches an imperfect version and learns from the results will outperform the one who endlessly prepares without ever releasing. Done is better than perfect because done can be improved. Perfect can only be imagined. Perfectionism also limits innovation. When you're obsessed with getting everything right, you avoid taking creative risks. You color inside the lines. You play small to avoid mistakes. But breakthroughs come from bold moves, from trying something untested, from experimenting, even when the outcome is uncertain. Some of the most successful products, ideas, and movements were born out of messy beginnings. The process was refined over time, not from the start. Waiting until it's perfect often means it never sees the light of day. Your mind is your most powerful asset, but also your most vulnerable. What you feed it, what you expose it to, and what you allow to influence it will either strengthen your pursuit or sabotage it. Guarding your mind means taking full responsibility for the thoughts you entertain and the environment you immerse yourself in. In a world that bombards you with doubt, fear, negativity, and distractions, protecting your mindset is not optional. It's essential for anyone serious about achieving a dream in a limited time frame. Your external environment shapes your internal world more than you realize. The conversations you have, the content you consume, the people you surround yourself with, these all act like either fuel or poison for your belief system. If you're constantly surrounded by people who play small, who settle, who complain, and who view ambition as a risk instead of a responsibility, it becomes harder to stay aligned with your vision. Their fears begin to sound like logic. Their limitations start to echo in your own thoughts. This is why proximity matters. Who you listen to shapes who you become. Guarding your mind means becoming intentional about your input. It means curating what you watch, read, and listen to. Instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media filled with comparison, gossip, and fear-based narratives, choose inputs that uplift, educate, and empower you. Fill your space with voices that challenge you to grow, with stories that remind you of what's possible, with mentors, whether in person or virtual, who have walked the path you aspire to travel. What you repeatedly expose yourself to becomes what you normalize. Normalize greatness. Normalize discipline. Normalize bold, decisive action. Negative thoughts are inevitable, but being controlled by them is a choice. Part of guarding your mind is learning how to challenge those thoughts instead of automatically believing them. When fear says you're not ready, question it. When doubt tells you you're not good enough, examine the evidence. The mind is a powerful storyteller, and if left unchecked, it will tell you stories that keep you safe but small. Rewriting those stories starts with awareness. You can't control every thought that pops into your head, but you can control which ones you entertain, repeat, and reinforce. One of the most effective ways to guard your mind is to build rituals that fortify it daily. Whether it's morning journaling, affirmations, meditation, or intentional silence, these practices create space between stimulus and reaction. They help you reconnect with your purpose and recalibrate your focus. In a 90-day sprint toward a dream, these moments of stillness and clarity become vital. They allow you to drown out the noise and hear your own voice clearly. The people you allow close to you have a direct influence on the quality of your mindset. Not everyone deserves a seat at the table of your dreams. Set boundaries. Limit exposure to chronic complainers, skeptics, and those who dismiss your goals. You don't need to cut everyone off, but you do need to protect the energy you allow into your space. Not everyone will understand your mission, and your job is not to convince them, it's to stay true to it. Reflecting and refocusing weekly is a discipline that turns intention into lasting transformation. In the pursuit of a 90-day dream, time moves quickly, and without regular checkpoints, it's easy to drift off course. Most people don't fail because they lack ambition. They fail because they don't pause long enough to evaluate whether their actions are truly aligned with their goals. And you make space each week to reflect on what's working, what's not, and what needs to change. You reclaim control over your direction and your results. Reflection isn't about dwelling on mistakes or indulging in guilt. It's about collecting data from your own behavior. It's a personal performance review where you analyze the week, not from a place of judgment, but from curiosity. What did you accomplish? Where did you fall short? What distractions pulled you off track? What strategies gave you momentum? These questions reveal patterns, and those patterns hold the key to growth. When you become a student of your own process, you accelerate your progress by cutting what doesn't work and doubling down on what does. Without reflection, small problems compound into major setbacks. One missed deadline becomes two. One skipped workout becomes a week of lost momentum. One excuse becomes a habit. But when you reflect weekly, you catch these slips early. You course correct before the damage spreads. It's like steering a ship. A small turn can make a massive difference in where you end up, but only if you notice soon enough to make the adjustment. Weekly reflection is your opportunity to take the wheel again before the drift becomes a detour. Refocusing is the second half of the process, and it's just as critical. After you reflect, you must decide how to adjust your strategy moving forward. Dreams are not achieved by rigid plans, but by flexible persistence. You must be willing to tweak your methods without abandoning your mission. Maybe you thought a certain approach would work, but it didn't. Maybe your schedule looked great on paper, but collapsed under pressure. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're learning, evolving, and getting sharper. When you refocus, you reset your attention on what matters most. Distractions are everywhere, and without intentional focus, even a high achiever can get lost in busy work. Refocusing means stripping away what's unnecessary and returning to the core of your vision. What are the top 3 things that must happen this week to move you closer to your dream? What actions will give you the highest return on energy? By clarifying your priorities weekly, you move with precision instead of overwhelm. This weekly rhythm of reflection and refocusing creates momentum that compounds. It transforms time into a tool instead of a trap. You stop feeling like life is happening to you and start operating with clarity and control. Each week becomes a mini milestone, a new opportunity to improve, adapt, and push forward with greater alignment. This process also boosts your confidence. When you see progress, no matter how small, you begin to trust yourself more. You develop a track record of follow-through, and that fuels even more action. You are the architect of your future, and what you build in 90 days can redefine what you believe is possible. Too often people think transformation takes years, that dramatic change is only for those with special resources, connections, or perfect timing. But the truth is, most breakthroughs happen in short, focused windows, bursts of intentional effort that create irreversible momentum. 90 days is not just a deadline, it's a container for intensity, clarity, and commitment. When you fully show up for a concentrated period of time, you accelerate growth in ways that months of passive effort never could. Believing in the power of a short-term sprint begins with accepting that your habits, mindset, and environment are malleable. You are not fixed. You are not stuck. Every day within those 90 days offers a chance to rewrite the script, to let go of what's no longer serving you, and to adopt what moves you forward. You begin to realize that change isn't about waiting for the right moment. It's about choosing the right level of discipline and direction. The future is not a mystery waiting to be discovered. It's a masterpiece waiting to be created by someone who dares to take ownership of it. Creating your future doesn't mean predicting every outcome. It means becoming the kind of person who can handle whatever outcome arises. That shift begins when you stop seeing your dream as something external to chase and start seeing it as something internal to express. When you connect your goals to who you want to become, not just what you want to have, you begin to act from identity, not impulse. You stop reacting to life and start responding from vision. That's the power of focused intention. It transforms not just what you do, but how you see yourself. In a 90-day sprint, time becomes your ally. It forces you to eliminate the unnecessary, to say no to distractions, and to operate with urgency. You no longer have the luxury to delay, to overthink, or to operate casually. Every day matters. Every choice compounds. And with that awareness, you begin to live deliberately. You wake up with purpose. You plan with clarity. You execute with intensity. That kind of living doesn't just produce results. It reshapes your self-image. You begin to identify as someone who finishes, someone who follows through, someone who turns intention into reality. The act of creating your future also means accepting full responsibility for your results. You stop blaming circumstances, other people, or past mistakes. You realize that the next 90 days are not controlled by your history. They're shaped by your commitment. That level of ownership is both empowering and confronting. It demands that you let go of excuses, that you rise above distractions, that you become fiercely loyal to the dream that's calling you. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it, because nothing changes until you do. Each day you show up with intention, you're laying a brick in the foundation of a life that aligns with your highest vision. The future doesn't happen by chance, it happens by design, and the blueprint is in your hands every single day you choose to act.